I was a part of that family, of that family and helping that young man succeed. And being a single mom myself, that's very important to have your community. And in raising my sons, I had to have a community around me to support me to get them to where I needed them to be. And so I wanted to be that support for other other single moms or families. Or sometimes it was grandmothers raising the young men, or there was foster care parents raising, the young men. And so I loved doing it, and I was very happy with the opportunity to serve in such a way. And so coming here now, I'm excited to be in Virginia to actually in September open up a facility and then have the chapters roll out all in September and really to see and measure the success, because I know even as an educator or as a business person, you have to monitor your success. So if something's not working, I'm always going to be willing to change it. If something needs to be added, I'm always going to be willing to add to it, because it's not about my ego or who I am. It's about me seeing these young men succeed and flourish as strong Black men in the community, healthy husbands, healthy fathers, just healthy, solid men. And someone said to me, when you open a facility in September, you're going to cry. And I said, well, I don't think I'll cry then. I know the moment I'll cry is when I have a vision of standing in China or one of these factories overseas. And when that young man is holding his product in his hand that he designed and it's getting ready to be launched to market, that for me is the ultimate. To see this young man come so far in his journey and actually be standing in a facility where his product is being designed and produced and being able to launch it and understanding the whole process. These principles that you're teaching on entrepreneurship, you can take this wherever you go. The things that I learned at working at Nike has stayed with me even with my education, and it's principles that will forever be with these young men. And I'm just so blessed that God has put this in my heart to do and to share with the world. This opportunity, even here right now, speaking about the goals that I have for True Entrepreneurs Club and what I hope to achieve with it.
Well, Ateba, you say that you're blessed, but you're a blessing, and everyone else is blessed that's going to be coming in contact with you. I Googled scriptures on overcoming in regard to these youth that you're trying to help overcome their obstacles in life. Yes. Mm-hmm. And boy, I hit it really quick. It only took me about 15 seconds when I Googled that. I came up with 3 scriptures right off the bat. So I'm just going to throw these in the middle right now just to kind of give us a little transition to something here. Psalm 27:1. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? Isaiah 41:13. For I am the Lord your God, who takes hold of your right hand and says to you, do not fear, I will help you. 1 Peter 5:7. Cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you. What I'm trying to say is this. I think the number one thing that you're doing that you didn't actually say out loud, but it's kind of obvious from listening to you talk about what you're doing. You love all of these people. You love people, and you love these kids, and you see something in them that a lot of other people don't see. In the clip that we listened to, it talked about how everybody says they'll never be anything else than what they're doing now, and people fear them. But you're saying no. These are strong people. They just need to be shown. They just need to be shown the right way. But the problem is, and you're dealing with it. The problem is they're already doing what they do. They know how to do what they do. It's not legal, and they're gonna get in a lot of trouble if they don't switch over. And so for you teaching entrepreneurship, how to legally go into business ideas, I've been told for years and years, Steve, your program shouldn't just be in prison. Teaching financial literacy the way that you do, everybody needs it, particularly high school kids. Yeah. So I taught for a couple of years in high school. just like you're doing. But what I learned is a lot of these kids, man, they got their minds really, really focused in the wrong direction, and they don't want to stop and listen. But you've got that communication. And so once you get them listening by letting them know that you care, then they're going to find out that, hey, this lady, she understands, and she's got knowledge, and there's stuff I can learn. And so as you get into what you're doing with this population, I know that there's incredible satisfaction when you see someone, they listen to you, and they start to apply themselves to learn something. Because I want to tell you right now, I think one of the strongest limitations that many, many people have, not just this population, but across the board with human beings, a lot of people, they have no desire to learn from others anymore. For whatever reason, they're out there in a survival mode. They've been beaten down by life. They're just going day by day. They go to work. They come home. They go to bed. They go out. They do whatever they do. They find some kind of escape through drugs, alcohol, or whatever, or some kind of vice that they get into. They get up the next day and they start all over again. But what they need to have role models that they can learn from, things that they missed out on that they were never given in their youth. And so that's my answer to the problem that we got to figure out that you're doing is people need to be able to relate to someone, have enough trust and respect in that person that they'll start to learn from somebody that is the right kind of a role model. And that's who you are.
Yes, that's that's my goal. I just feel very strong about the need for these tools in low income environments. You know, if you, like I was mentioning before, I was in, California teaching at Stanford, summer field program, Stanford, young kids aged, I think it was 13 to 17, that were 13 to 18 that were coming from all around the world. There were students in my class from Uzbekistan and Brazil and all over. And these parents paid $7,000 for these kids to learn about entrepreneurship, social entrepreneurship, because they understand the value of those principles that you're learning in the course. And I started to think even more about how important it was to offer truth to communities that can't afford that. You have a single mom can't afford to send her child to a summer program and pay $7,000, especially when we talked earlier about the annual income for a family in a low-income urban environment is about $24,000 a year. And so my goal is to really make this accessible to those that need it the most.
That's what I'm experiencing in my life. That I have a curriculum and it's being marketed in the prisons right now. But the problem is that the prisons, they don't have budgets and they don't want educational content. And so I'm kind of like barking up a tree here that's, beating my head against the wall. But eventually, all I want's the same as you. I know that my curriculum helps people change their thinking, get their thoughts right, get their focus right, and then they learn the basic skills that they need to succeed.
Yeah.
But the world's having a hard time funding programs like this. And so we just got to get a distribution channel set up to where our programs can get to the people that need it, because that's all we really want to do. Let me ask you a question. I want to get deeper into your entrepreneurship for people that are struggling. Part of your premise that you brought out in last week's show was that the crime rate dropped significantly in these inner city poverty communities, in these neighborhoods. The crime rate drops when there's Black minority-owned businesses that can serve as role model businesses for the youth that you're trying to reach. Because when they see other people are successful, they say, well, wow, maybe I could do that. But here's what I wanted to ask you. I mean, that's proven statistically. You quoted some studies that have shown that. The crime drop rate, that was the Delaware study that Parker did. Yeah, that's out there. But what I've learned is that a lot of people, they want to have their own business, because they can't work for other people. Now, I want to hold on to that with you for a second. 6 years ago in Greensville prison in Virginia, it's a maximum security prison in Virginia, the largest prison in Virginia. I was doing one-on-one sessions with people that had gone through my classes for, they had to qualify for the one-on-one. And there's one guy that was getting ready to get out in a month or so. I said, so what do you want to talk about? What do you want to do when you get out? He goes, I want to start my own business. I said, well, that's good. Why do you want to start your own business? And he said, because I can't work for anybody else. I've never been able to get along with anybody that I've ever worked for, so I want to start my own business. Well, long story short, I took that conversation and it became a pillar of what I teach. I want people to be able to work for someone else and become the world's greatest employee, so that when they have their own business, they'll know about employee-employee relationships. And I told him, I said, how do you expect to be able to have a successful business and manage employees if you can't be managed by bosses yourself? And I said, the point is that the first thing that's going to happen to you when you get your own business and you have employees is you're going to lose it on somebody because you're not going to be able to communicate properly.
Yeah.
But what's your thoughts on that?
The same. And when you said that, I thought to myself, that sounds like a micromanager. And for me, I don't work well with micromanagers. And basically, they're very controlling over projects, and it doesn't allow autonomy of people, for people or your employees to be able to grow in the space of whatever industry you're occupying, you're working in. And then also it seems like to me that young guy has a problem with authority, which coming out of the system, I can understand that, but I think that that's something that through books and education, more learning about himself, that he has to deal with that understanding that you have to deal with your problem with authority, because like you said, if you can't work for someone else, then how do you have any empathy towards people that work for you? I believe in life, that life takes us through a series of lessons, and they're for a reason, to bring us to the point of where we need to be at that moment in time. And especially when you're an entrepreneur, I believe that you should have worked for people before you start your own business. I mean, I've worked for Nike and worked at Pepsi. I've worked, in corporations, at Tri-City Beverage, and just different industries, corporations. And then I worked at universities and things and colleges. And so I've learned a lot by working under people. I've had good bosses, and then I've had bad bosses, and I've learned in both situations, good and bad. And so there is a lesson that you need to learn when you're working for people. Even they say before you go to graduate school, you should work in your field. When you graduate from your bachelor's degree, you should work in your field for at least a year to 2 years. I told my own son that when he graduated from his degree, and now he's an animator. He does animation in California. But my point is that you have to know how to work with people. You have to know how to talk to people. You have to know how to deal with authority. You have to know how to lead, and you have to know how to follow. And all of those are personal journeys that that young man, that man that you talked about, he needed to learn and develop and nurture so that he could become the best entrepreneur possible. It's not possible to be a successful entrepreneur if you don't know how to do this.
I had another guy at the same prison in that same group, and he went in at 18 years old. He'd been in for 11 years. He was getting ready to get out, and he told me that he wanted to go into his own mobile janitorial service. And I said, that's a great business to go into. And I asked him, did he have any experience? And he said, well, I learned how to, do kitchen work here in the prison and so forth, but he had no one on the outside to support him. He had no capital. He hadn't worked in the industry before. He didn't have any experience in sales, etc. So by the end of the conversation, though, here's what I had shown him. If you really want to start your own business in that area, where do you think the very best place that you can get experience that'll teach you how to run that business.